All right, we're back again, and this is the final portion of this video. Videos, depending on how long it becomes once I start editing it down. But what we have here, this is what we call a jig. And what a jig does is it allows you to hold things while you perform other operations on a part. And this I made quite some time ago. And this is what allows me to be able to control the material enough so that you get a professional result. And it's a fairly simple jig. I mean, I can go into the details of it. Simply have, if you're interested. If not, you can fast forward through this part. But it's just simply a piece of hot roll that I've bent. And that becomes basically my pad, what holds the material while we do the flanging operation. And then this is simply a piece of tube stock, pipe stock, whichever, that I drilled and tapped a hole, put a dowel in here and here, and this kind of balances out the piece. Another tapped hole on this side, and the diameter of this is 5 3/4, which is what I needed. So I didn't have to do any turning or anything on this, but I did clean this top surface up, and I did take and clean all of the roughness of the native material of the pipe, so it was nice and smooth, because again, we don't want to impart any or more imperfections on our part. That's why we have the tape there. So this goes back together. Just get those started. Oh, let's see. There we go. All right. So that gives you an idea what that is. This is simply a gauge, and you'll see what this does once I start it. This, you'll see what this does. Simple piece of brass square key stock, ball peen hammer. Since we're doing this manually by hand and we're not using a press or any other mechanical means. So this has to fit in here. Obviously, it won't go in there because it's straight. So what I always do is, we're not going to do a whole lot of work on this, but we're going to just go ahead and manually bend it around this shape. Okay? And as you can see, it bends nicely. It's aluminum. Other materials would try to resist more than the aluminum has. But now we have the general shape. Okay, and now we could actually persuade it to go inside of our jig, like so. Okay, now let's tip it up, and then we want to make sure that we're kind of even on the pins, although it isn't imperative that we are, but we're close. So we want to bring in the screws a little bit closer, and probably going to want to get a little clamp here, just so that way the screws are in the right spot. Let me grab a clamp and turn it back on. Here's the clamp. Just going to go ahead and use this. Bring this in. All right, let's. Nothing is really in position yet as far as the part goes. So we're just going to tighten these things up here. Okay. All right. So now I'll back everything off now that we've kind of formed it into a closer shape to the jig. And then we'll go ahead and start adjusting this. The area will be flanged, the area that the tape was not on. So, and that's what this is for. This allows us to adjust the height of the part without actually taking physical measurements. We can just put it in position, and if we leave this just a little snug, we can move it by hand and get it adjusted just right. See, that one's a little bit high, so we're going to give it just a slight little tap. To bring it down. And we're just using feel. All right. So let's go ahead and snug this up again. I'm going to go ahead and do this. I couldn't add a screw here because the way the part fits in that area, so I could only add the screws where the part was not at. There we go. Let's just double check again so that way we didn't move. And we are really good. Okay. So then we're going to begin the flanging operation, which is simply using a hammer to persuade this material. Now, what this flange is going to do for us, because we have this shape this way, and if you haven't figured it out, this is going to be a headlight visor. This was made for Harley-Davidson Sportster 5 3/4 headlamps. Okay, I know there's different size headlamps for motorcycles. The Sportster, the older style, was 5 3/4. I don't know what the new ones are. They might have migrated to the 7-inch round or 7-inch diameter headlight diameters. I don't know if they have or they haven't. So, anyhow, that's what this is for. Now, the headlight has a trim ring, and the trim ring is what this flange is going to go under to secure it. So this flange has to be bent this way, outwards, from inside out. And that will hold it in on the motorcycle while you're riding it up and down the road. So let me get started on this, and you'll see how it takes us. All right, let's go ahead and start the process. I know this might seem a little crude, and maybe it is, but it works. I don't know what else to say. obviously this probably sounds very loud. I'm not sure. I won't know until I edit the video. But this cabinet is hollow. It's got shelves and stuff in it, but it's probably making this sound really loud. Okay, so the worry about bending this way is as we bend this way, the metal is spreading out, stretching. So you could actually split it. So you have to have this long enough to fit under the trim ring and be held on securely, but short enough so that way when you flange it, you don't split it and have a bunch of splits here. Now, one thing I do is, this is unseen. This is completely unseen. But I do take a file just to make this a little bit smoother and take away some of these marks. So let me get that file now and you can see. And then once that's done, we'll take it out of the jig and see how it looks. Okay, so simply have a file. And then all I'm going to do is just dress this flange, removing some of our manual flanging marks, and they don't all have to be moved, but this just makes the piece a little bit more presentable. We can take the clamp off now, and we can just work our way around. Just going to go ahead and make sure everything is at the same height. Okay, that's pretty good for now. So let's go ahead and take it out of the fixture, or the jig I should say. Excuse me. Fixture would be for checking it, not making it. Screw loose. And as you see, now it holds its shape. There is some slight spring back, but you know, it's not much. But this is it's nice and correct as far as the shape goes. It's not, if you try to do this by hand without holding it with steel, I don't think wood would do it. You wouldn't be able to get results like this. Let me see if I can get this tape off so you can see how it is. And again, whatever work you have to do, leave the tape on there until you're completely done, because the tape will make your polishing so much easier, because you protect it from having so many scratches in it, and those scratches are they work for you, but they're also your enemy. So you see that the shape is very uniform. You can see how the flange looks, I think. I don't know if that, let me make sure that's clear in the camera. So you can see how the flange is. All right, you can see on this side, we don't have any cracks. We don't have any cracks along the flange itself. And we have a piece. And these, another jig for putting these holes in them. And that way the holes are all uniformly spaced on both sides. And that's just an added decoration. But that is a different process. And if you want to see that, let me know. I can make a video showing you how I put the holes in it. You can't do it. It's only done when it's flat. It's not done once it's circular. Okay? You can't. You don't want to, for this type of a part, you don't want to go ahead and try to pierce holes in this while it's on a curve. But this is the part. Now I would just go through and just kind of touch this up with a file, this outside edge, kind of round this over with a file, maybe some emery. Make sure these edges are nice and smooth. Break this around like this. Tuck it in because it doesn't have to be squared off like it is. This can have a small radius on it, and that's what I would do with a file. But that's metal stamping flanging in the home shop with the aid of a jig, which could basically be scrap materials that you have. And that's how I do it. If you'd like to see the polishing portion, if I can speak, let me know, and I'll put together a video for that. That is the part that takes the longest. Now, I know this video might seem long for all the pieces put together, but it goes pretty quick. Once you have all your blanks, cut and ready to go, this part, once you get practiced at it, it's not that difficult, and it's not too time consuming. Questions or comments, leave them down below. If you like the video, if you hate the video, don't be shy either way. Let me know if there's any other type of metal forming, stamping, piercing, trimming operations that can be done. Quickly before I close, let me grab the right one. This one here, I started figuring out how much pressure it would take to trim this in a blank die. So you can see the numbers I have on there. That's what it would take to trim this all at one time. This number is smaller, and that's with shear on the blank steels. Now, I have not made the blank die for this, but it is something I would be willing to do if there was interest in that as well. This is my area of expertise, I guess. And I hate using the word expert because it always comes back to bite you. But this is what I do for a living. I'm a tool and die maker by trade. I do a slightly different job right now, but I've been doing this for a long time. So, questions, comments, leave them below. Let me know what you think. It's Mike with +8 Precision. Thanks for watching.